path stitched through coastal pines, sand snagged with roots, and bottle green needles. The brochure swore the lookout would catch first light and make the climb kind. It didn't. The fog tasted like wet pennies, as if the ocean had come inland and lost its way. At a bleached milepost, I stopped to drink. Someone used my name like it belonged here. Hey, bright, like from a switchback I couldn't see. It was Maria's voice, morning soft, as if she talked through a yawn. Maria was on nights, 3 ferries away. Still, the voice fit so neatly that I answered. Yeah. No one stepped out. Fog kept its corners. My phone buzzed. Missed call from Maria, timestamped 2 minutes earlier. No bars. I walked. The voice kept a considerate distance, like we were hiking together, and undecided about who should lead. Sometimes ahead, sometimes behind. Always a turn away. A spur led to a marsh boardwalk, gray planks over ink water. The old fire tower showed through mist like a sketch someone never finished. Wind tested my pack. The hip belt wouldn't seat, like a fingertip lodged between the teeth. You good? It asked, closer. Maria's concern was perfect. I thumbed my phone to record. What did we name the stray behind the laundromat? The answer came too quickly. Button. Right. But it sounded like the word was new to its mouth. The pines shortened, bark too clean, forest too young to remember us. Should have felt better. Didn't. Left, the voice said. Left was only a faint sand track through scrub. The marker arrowed right. I went right. At the first span over open water, the mud printed 2 sets side by side. My tread, and my tread again. But the weight fell wrong, heels light, toes greedy, as if someone had borrowed my feet and hadn't learned where they bend. I'm leaving, I told the reeds. The marsh held its breath. Then, softly, from the wrong side of the boardwalk, my name tipped over. Syllables stacked, then spilled. I crossed. Cold climbed to my knees. On the far side, I didn't look back. The voice reached the water's edge and sounded relieved. Signal found me near the tower base. Maria answered on the first ring. Weird. Dreamed you were outside my window at dawn, asking which way was home. Another call lit my screen. Me. Same time stamp. The plank behind my heel ticked. The stairs above started counting down.
I take the ridge loop last because the fog loves it. After quiet hours, the campground holds its breath. The bear boxes clack in their sleep, and the trail signs remember other directions. I walk alone, headlamp on low, whistle in my pocket, spare batteries I don't trust until they're sweating in my palm. Halfway to the overlook, a single dome glows like a lung behind the pines. No permit tag on the guy line. Zippers closed. The fly is beaded with dew, but the ground under it is powder, dry like the tent learned to rain by itself. I write the site number in the log and ping the repeater. My call folds into paper. The return hiss is patient. At the trailhead kiosk, a laminated map hangs loose at one corner, peeled back by fingers that didn't leave oils. A boot print rests atop my own from an hour ago, sharper, wetter. The dust around it curls into loops I never walked. Footsteps rise on the switchbacks behind me. Not hurrying, not hiding, choosing where to land. I don't turn. Camp's closed after 10. My voice comes out small, held by trees. trail's open, says a voice that knows where my light falls. I hadn't left the gate unlatched. I turn. My beam finds no one. Only the no-night hiking sign swaying like a taut thing, reflective letters breathing. Downslope, the blazes don't line up. The path kinks an inch to the left, just enough to be wrong. The radio wakes. Permit number. Unissued. Then the hush of something leaning near the mic, listening for my breath. At the group site, the food box latch lies unhooked but closed, as if the metal had practiced being undone until gravity remembered. Wind fingers a blue tarp somewhere, 5 beats, then 5 more. High mode on, I sweep the trail. Bare, wet prints step out of the chaparral ahead. No tread, just skin, climb toward me, and stop perfectly at the toes of my boots. The soil doesn't take the weight. Air moves the hair by my ear. Wrong way, it says, polite as a ranger with a citation. I don't run. I ride it up. In the morning, the host says there was never a tent on that spur. We stand in loops that could belong to anything that refuses to be measured. I still walk the ridge. Only change. A second sleeping bag laid open in my tent, like someone will join me. Tonight the zipper rises, slow as breath, and the empty shape lies down beside me, facing the trail, closer.
They said the ridge was fine if you hiked off it before the moon climbed. We didn't. We made camp under the old fire lookout. 2 small tents, flies whispering, the lake below exhaling a slow, wet breath through the trees. The wind had dropped to nothing. It made the quiet sound deeper. I woke to the mesh, drawing inward. Not a gust, more like a mouth leaning to the fabric, and taking a careful sip. The guy line hummed a single low note, plucked by nothing. Then another, higher, as if someone were tuning my shelter to a pitch. Needle crackle drifted around me, circling. Not boots, not hooves, soft, deliberate pressure, rearranging the forest floor. A pause at my zipper. The teeth ticked once, like testing a key. From my friend's tent, no turn, no cough, no shift. I pressed my phone face down against my chest and felt for the tiny hand crank weather radio we'd used earlier. I didn't turn it on. Whoever was outside seemed to be listening for anything that would break the shape of quiet. A whisper slid along the mesh at my ear. You left one open. The breath was cold and tinny, like it had traveled through a coil of wire. I didn't answer. The whisper moved to the opposite wall without footsteps. You left this. Something thin rasped the screen and fell against my shoulder through the fabric. Paper. My topo map, crease worn. The corner nicked where I'd tucked it under a rock. I tapped our emergency code against the tent pole. 2 short, 1 long. The guy line replied, high, then low, like it was answering for me. From the trees came a far-off NOAA tone, someone cranking a radio to pull weather from the static. Then it cut, but the pitch clung to the air as if the air liked it. The guy lines thrummed again. Hands, I thought, walking the cords toward their stakes. Not tugging to test, but gliding, making them sing. The note slid closer to the frequency of my own breath until I couldn't separate the two. I eased the stake nearest my feet, lifted the fly, and slid belly first into pine shadow. Cold went right through the shirt. The clearing looked emptied, the coals in the ring a dull planet, the lookout tower a darker geometry against the lighter dark. By the old trail sign, a figure tilted its head as if reading without eyes. No shoes, pants dark to mid-shin, as though the lake had come up to meet them. Both hands on my radio's little crank, not turning, feeling the click-click of its teeth. "I shut it for you," he said, voice too even, like words played back on a different machine. He set the radio on the post and looked toward my friend's tent. "You left others." I didn't speak. I raised my headlamp, but didn't click. Below, the lake lifted a skin of mist that held itself like breath about to decide. From my friend's tent came the clean chirp of a beacon strobe arming. Then the NOAA radio tone rose, this time from our unit, though it sat still on the post. The sound brightened into that dry government pitch, and the figure flinched like it was light. We stood with the tone between us, a thin wire of noise stretched taut. He stepped back, hands open, and slid into the line of trees, the sound following him as if it were leashed. The needles barely moved. The tone went on, thinning, stepping past trunks, crossing what shouldn't carry it. Rock, water, distance. At first light, our lines were braided together into a tidy spiral, each knot cinched to a note. My map was folded with its corners aligned to the trail that led back. On the tin mug beside the fire ring, the rim bore a faint, oval dent, like someone had pressed it to a wall to listen through metal. We started down without boiling water. The ridge held its breath. Halfway to the switchbacks, I thumbed the radio just to hear a human voice say clear. It was off, crank folded, battery from last night still out. The speaker gave a soft, papery cough and whispered my trail name in my exact voice.
Like, share, subscribe.